Start. Just invite the audience and then I'll hand it over. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming to ISKCON Boston on this auspicious evening. So today we have our Sunday Feast program where we have a lecture from 5 to 6. 6 to 7 we have the RFP, and then 6 to 6:30 we have the RFP, and 6:30 we have the initial streams at the end of the program. For the special lecture today we have a special guest. His Grace Rohinipriya Prabhu, who's a senior celebrate monk from Mumbai. Over to you. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Good evening. Everyone is excited? Yes? Me too. So I want to welcome all of you to our regular Sunday program, Sunday Peace program. I hope all of you are comfortable. Everyone is comfortable. Some of those seats are premium seats. You can lean back against the wall. Okay, so let us begin. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swampadantikam Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Vachakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I am from India. I grew up there, in the city of Mumbai. Mumbai is very cosmopolitan, has always been. It is also the financial capital of India. Everyone here knows India? Yeah. The country? Yes. Yeah. Geopolitically,
we are becoming a little more prominent nowadays. India. India has been known since time immemorial as the place of seekers too. Since ever. Growing up in India, I do not remember anyone ever feeling that spirituality wasn't a part of their life. Well, there are various levels of spirituality. However, it was only when I came to the West did I understand that there is a different way of looking at life. And I could appreciate how important it is to understand different perspectives. We grew up with a lot of stories. All of the stories were about, most of them were about holy people. The first time I got introduced to somebody who would have fit into the world of Marvel comics was when I was a teenager. So we had our own superhuman characters, a lot of them. We grew up with the idea of everyone being a spirit soul. We did not know much about what the soul is, but the idea was that everyone is a spirit soul. Going to school, you'd have a person who would, it was like this school transport vehicle, a private vehicle. We used to call it the auto rickshaw. It's like a three-wheeler tempo. Everyone knows what's a tempo. Tempo, yeah. So all of us kids would be there. And the person who would drive us to school, all of us would address that person as uncle. All of us. So uncle would always tell us stories too. Then we had the local vendors. Some of them would come up to our houses selling their wares. Some of them would be in the marketplaces. The ladies would always be called auntie. And the men would always be called uncle. They also had stories to tell us. And the interesting thing was that all of the stories would be about how you should be good, how you should be truthful. And if one is nice, then one would receive blessings. And these blessings would help us achieve liberation. We were like, okay, liberation is a part of life. Blessings is a part of life. So that is where we heard all the stories. And I'm going to narrate one of the stories to all of you. So everyone is ready for a story. So this story is from a book called as the Brihat Aryanaka Upanishad. Does that sound very mystical? Yeah. I deliberately took a pause after Upanishad because I wanted to make it sound mystical. Upanishad. Growing up, I used to think they are books. So I'd go to the library and ask, can I have Upanishad? And they would show me the shelves. Only when I went through the books did I realize that Upanishads are not books. The books are just a printed form of the Upanishads. Upanishads are they're a body of knowledge. And it was very interesting. Because growing up, I would always think that everything is a book. English is a book. Math is a book. Science is a book. Teachers explain to us how they are not just books. Books are just a printed form of that field of knowledge. The Upanishads are basically a form of knowledge. They were passed down from one teacher to the students. And when the students would become teachers, then they would pass it down to their students. Till we discovered paper and we discovered the printing press, and then we had the books. It was good that we had the books because now we could see if they were all the standard version or not. It was helpful. I asked someone, why do you call this body of knowledge or these books the Upanishad? They explained to me. They said, the word Upanishad is a combination of 3 words. Upa, Ni, and Sha. I said, wow, that is interesting. But what is the need of combining all of these 3 words? They said, because then the meaning comes forth. I said, what meaning? So first of all, I used to think the Upanishad is a book. Then I realized, no, it is a body of knowledge. Now there is a meaning to this word too. What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning that comes forth by the combination of these words? They said, Upa means under or near. Ni means close. Shata means to imbibe. I said, all right. So why this body of knowledge is called as an Upanishad? I said, because the knowledge is received by hearing, understanding, assimilating. Then it is an Upanishad. By this time, I had lost track of what was being explained. It was like going above my head. So I asked them, can you tell me a story, please? So they said, yes, we will tell you a story. From an Upanishad known as Brihad Aryanaka. I was intelligent enough not to ask him anything else about these words. Otherwise, they would go into some other explanation. Not for this class. I wanted the story. So it is explained in that story that a person known as Prajapati, I was hearing that word, it sounded fascinating and was hearing it for the first time. So I asked, who's Mr. Prajapati? They said, well, Prajapati is the progenitor of the entire creation. Then I know that is God. He said, okay, if that is what you want to call it, that entity, God, all right. However, God is different. And this was too complicated for me. So I said, all right, let's get on with the story first. So Prajapati had a lot of progeny. Now, the Upanishads addressed Prajapati as he. So that's a pronoun used. So we'll also address the Prajapati as he. So he told all of his progeny that you must perform austerity. They were all, no, they were, they said, all right, we'll do that. Where do you perform austerity? So he gave them certain places to go and perform austerity. And once you've done your austerity, then you come back to me. So they figured out what austerity means. And they went and they did their austerity. The technical word is tapasya. So after their austerity was done, they come back. When they come back, somehow or the other, there are three clans, there are three groups now. They've made friendship amongst each other. And most probably they were inspired by the phrase, birds of a feather flock together. So they flocked together according to their personal interests. And they came as three groups. One group was called the Deva. The second group was called Manushya. The third group was called Asura. Everyone got those names? Deva, Manushya, Asura. So the Devas all came to Prajapati and said, sir, we followed your advice, we followed your instruction. So now please give us your blessing. And they're waiting for some substantial remuneration. And the Prajapati says, duh. They're like, what? And Prajapati keeps quiet. So they realize this is their remuneration. Duh. Then the Prajapati said, do you understand the meaning of this? And they're all in unison. They said, yes, they do. It means Damayata. Control your senses and your mind. Prajapati smiled and he said, yes, that is correct. Now go ahead and live your lives. So they left. The next group to approach Prajapati was the Manushya, that clan. Manushya. Please, sir, we have done our austerity. Please give us your blessings. And the Prajapati smiled and said, duh. And they were a little surprised. And the Prajapati asked them, do you understand the meaning? And they said, yes, we do. What do you understand? all of them together said, Datta or Datta, Data. Prajapati smiled. Datta means to give. He said, correct. So the Manushya clan was very happy. They also left. The third group of people, the Asuras, they came to Prajapati. They also asked him for blessings. Prajapati said, Duh. When he asked the people there, did you understand? They said, yes, we did. What did you understand? And they said, we understood that we have to be compassionate. Very good. That's correct. Go ahead and live your lives. So this is this story from the Upanishads. It's like a parable. So the teachers, those who have the wisdom to understand these parables, they have explained that like, you know, how all these stories about the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world, like they all speak about three worlds because there are three ways that one can live life. One is the middle earth, or the middle planetary system. The other is the upper planetary system, and the third is the lower. And what's the difference? In the upper planetary systems or the upper world, they have a lot of facilities. And they have powers that the other two worlds do not have as much. And the middle earth, middle planetary system, or middle earth, sometimes, you know, in today's stories, they tell you that it's about the people that is sandwiched between the upper world and the lower world. They are the ones who have to work hard every day, make the two ends meet. They have sufficient to live their lives well. At the same time, if they are not careful enough, then they also have a lot of issues in life. And then there is a lower, which is just juxtaposed to the upper. They're as powerful, however, or they have a lot of resources too. However, they are inclined to exploit people. Typical. Wherever you have these stories about, you know, how the upper world, the middle earth, the whatever they say, there's three different divisions. There's always a conflict. So typically, this is how life is. Where you have a lot of facilities, when you have a lot of facilities, a group of people would be, those who have those facilities would be inclined to be pious. There would be a group that would be inclined to always, or they would be inclined to be exploitative, and there would be a third group that would be sandwiched between the two. They do not have sufficient resources either to be very pious or very exploitative. So they are in the middle. So in this parable from the Upanishad, the Devas are from the upper system. The Asuras are from the lower system, and the Manushyas are from the middle system. So because the upper planetary systems, those who are from that part, they have a lot of resources and they are pious too. There is a chance that they can be distracted by those resources. They want to enjoy those resources more than it is needed. There is a chance. They wouldn't be exploitative. That is not their nature. They wouldn't want to exploit others, but they would want to enjoy it thoroughly. There is the possibility of that because they have so much resources. Hence, for them, it is important that they practice controlling their senses and their mind. Hence, Prajapati said, good, you've understood it properly. The middle planets, the middle world, they do not have as much resources as the other two. They have to work hard to get the needs met. So there can be a tendency within them to become very, very greedy. If they have something, they would want to keep it for themselves and store. They wouldn't be as exploitative. And since they do not have sufficient resources, they wouldn't have the opportunity to enjoy as much. But whenever they get a chance, they want to just hoard, keep it to themselves. So greed would be a challenge for them. Hence, the Manushyas, they understood the as giving, charity. And the lower planets, the lower world, because their nature is to be exploitative, they understood it as being compassionate. Because if they find compassion, then they can overcome their nature. So basically, the Upanishad here is trying to encourage all of us to address our challenges in life. If sometimes we get too much enamored by our facilities and we want to just lay back and enjoy life to the utmost, then maybe we should think about the idea of trying to control our mind and senses. If distraction is greed, then we should start being charitable. And if the challenge is exploitation, the exploitative tendency, then we may want to adopt being compassionate. Do you think those are good ideas? So somewhere here is the upper world, somewhere is the middle world, and somewhere is the lower earth. Right here, within our personality. And when we seek answers, that is where we approach Prajapati. And typically, what is a Prajapati going to do? The Prajapati is just going to be like a sounding board. Duh. And we have to figure out what it means. We have to figure out what are challenges. Our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We have him there. She would always say that One must not be looking for Ashirwad Babas. He was also from India. So in India, there is this term known as Ashirwad Baba. Ashirwad means blessings. Baba means one who can give you those blessings. So people throng to places where they can get blessings. And they want it very cheap. They just go to such Ashirwad Babas and they say, please give your blessings. And the Baba says, all right, here's our blessings. And you say, that is, he would say, Prabhupada would say, we should not want to just go to Ashirwad Babas. We should try to seek answers in such a way that the answer resounds within too. And that is a student. A student is one who learns. And learning is trying to imbibe a concept that resounds within. You can only to a certain extent carry a concept that somebody else has convinced you about. But that is that person's conviction, not ours. We may have been captured by the personality, or we may have been very much attracted by the way of presentation. It is still their concept. A student is one who understands a concept, imbibes it, assimilates it, such that it resounds within his or her system. And when it starts resounding within our system, then we are convinced of what we have accepted. That is the vision that we have whenever we interact with the external world, because that is our perspective, our philosophy of life. The Srila Prabhupada would always encourage us to be very, very rational and devoted at the same time. Each one of us has intelligence. We have to feed our intelligence. We have to let our intelligence grow strong. When you go to a teacher, and a teaching may be accepted, that teaching is helpful if our intelligence grows strong enough. What does intelligence do? The intelligence helps us make decisions in life. That is how they train us here, follow certain laws, traffic. The traffic signals. The intelligence works. All right. Many times, this is like a joke. Many times people feel that when it turns from green to orange or yellow, that means speed up. However, good intelligence is to know that it is slow down. Why is that good intelligence? Because just as we are thinking speed up, somebody else is also thinking speed up. And if we are thinking slow down, somebody else must also be using the intelligence to speed up slowly or slow down. But the first situation is a recipe for disaster. The second situation helps you survive. This is the intelligence. The intelligence gives you the vision to live life. Eating, talking, walking, interacting, teaching, and any other aspect of life, if guided by proper intelligence. That intelligence gives you the vision in those activities. Your vision, your perspective. First of all, there's need for proper perspective. And second, we need to have our vision. That is why each one of us has two eyes, our individual eyes. I cannot look at the world through your eyes. If I do that, the situation is not good for you. You're most probably dead. And I have your eyes. So it's not good for you. So everyone must develop their own vision, their own sight. That's intelligence. So the Upanishad. This is where the Upanishads help us through parables, through instructions, help us understand our own potentials. And a teacher helps us realize that we have that potential. Once upon a time, a businessman who had grown old and had 3 sons wanted to impart certain life lessons to all his sons. Am I being very gender biased here? I'm sorry. Let's make it daughters. I don't want it to be a joke, but these are stories from the past, so what can I do? I'm trying to repeat it as it is. So let's say a business lady, 3 daughters, same situation, wants her children to have good life lessons. She's quite old, she knows her days are numbered. So she calls each one of them and gives them a few grains, seeds. She gives them seeds. She asks them, for the next 5 years, guard these seeds. And after 5 years, I will ask you about it. The first child takes care of those seeds for a few months, and then it's like, they're just seeds, come on. The child is like, how does she even know? So the child kind of exchanges those seeds for some enjoyment in life, like having fun. The first daughter does that. The second daughter is very much devoted to her mother. She's like, no, these seeds have been given by my mother. Whenever I look at these seeds, I remember her. There's so much sentimental value to these seeds. So she takes those seeds, puts them in a very protective container on a mantelpiece in a prayer room, and every day she worships that box with the seeds in it. The third daughter, she takes those seeds and she's like, okay, I can have grains from those seeds. So she works in the garden. She plants those seeds. She has a crop. She uses that for herself, distributes it. Whatever is more, she has more seeds from their crop for the next year. So after 5 years, they come back to the mother. The mother asks them, what did you do? The first daughter said, oh, you gave me seeds, so I used it up. I had fun in life. And then I got some seeds, borrowed it from my friend, and here they are. After all, they're just seeds, The second daughter said, oh, I have it in a box container. The third daughter said, well, these are the seeds from this year's crops. Every year I would have bountiful. The mother smiled. She said, each one to his own, to her own. Again, this is a parable. All of us have been given the seed of life. We have been given our senses. Very potent. Can you imagine how potent the eyes are, how potent the ears are, how potent the tongue is? The nostrils, the sense of smell, the sense of taste. Let's say, recently we had an epidemic, and one of the afflictions of if you became infected was, if someone was infected, then one of the effects was that you would lose either your sense of taste or your sense of smell. It's possible. Let's say we lose our sense of smell. It's very difficult. We're not happy with the situation. What if we lose our sense of taste? So such potent facilities we have. And if we use our senses just for having fun, is that good use of the senses? After all, they're just senses. Come on. I just had some fun. There's a problem. No problem. Each one to his or her own. Or some of us are like, oh, the senses have been given to me by God. I have to just control it, and not let it go astray. Nice. And there could be a few of us, or some of us who would want to use those senses for uplifting our own consciousness, use them in such ways that we feel inspired, we feel excited in life, wanting to have higher realizations in life, and we also help others join the party. Everyone is using their senses. Some are just using it for their own selfish purposes. Some are wanting to control their senses because they feel by controlling their senses, they are being pious people, good people. And there are others that are using their senses for the upliftment of their consciousness. Who do you want to be? I'm not asking you for answers. Whatever your answer be, we'll all get good food at the end of this Prashant. But who do you want to be? We all want to be the best from the story. Do we have the commitment to be the best that we think the story is indicating to us? Do we have the courage to walk that path? Because if someone says, who do you want to be? We've kind of figured out which is the best option here. And you're like, yeah, I go for that. Are we ready to put our money, bet our money on it? Because where we put the money, that is where our heart is. Are we ready to spend our money, have a lifestyle that is in sync with what we feel is the best option? As humans, we have that decision to make. So when Srila Prabhupada would explain to us consciousness and Krishna consciousness, he wanted us to be thinkers and seekers. Why? Because he had the vision that each one of us is potentially a thinker and a seeker. All we need is to activate that spark that is there within us. We can read about it, we can hear about it, we can have discussions about it. We can meditate on it, we can analyze. We have to, if we feel that is the best option for us. Once a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, what is Krishna consciousness? And he said, being conscious of Krishna always. And who's Krishna? Krishna is God. What does that mean? The person who is qualitatively the same as us. Or we could say, we are qualitatively same as God. God is infinite, we are infinitesimal. Qualitatively the same. Therefore, essentially, we are all godly. Now, God, by definition, has to exhibit the qualities that define God. Shouldn't the godly also, by definition, exhibit the same qualities that godly defines? Wouldn't that be fair? So being conscious of this fact is God consciousness. Because all we are trying to do is be fair in life. Do our part. So we will encourage all of you to explore this path from wherever your understanding is. And if we trust Srila Prabhupada's vision, then we could try and become the seeker that we are, or the thinker that we are, by being conscious of being godly. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any comments? Yes, please. After that, you. All right.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for this wonderful and illuminating talk. So we're second to last day of 5 days of spiritual function. So maybe we speak about something about the glorification and character teachings of Grandfather Krishna. Maybe be so kind.
Okay. So according to our history, the history of Greater India, it was called Bharat, the land of the enlightened. So according to that history, there was a very powerful clan of pious rulers. They were called as the Kurus. That was the lineage, the Kurus. Where we are, the story that we are discussing about, or the personality that we are discussing about, is a very, very prolific and profound descendant of the Kuru clan. His name was Devavrata. He is the son of King Shantanu and the celestial goddess Ganga. Ganga is also called as Vishnupadi, one who descends from the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, the all-powerful, all-pervading Lord of the universe. So he was an interesting person because of his lineage. However, his name was Devavrata because Vrata means one who is always aware of his convictions. Vrata means fixed. And Deva means fixed in the vows of piety. That was how fixed he was. He had to participate in a war because he was a warrior prince. He was actually in line to take the throne of the kingdom. He was the king, the would-be king. However, as Prince Regent, he gave up his position for certain reasons. However, he took a vow that he would always be the servant of the throne and protect the throne. So there was a war. From one point of view, it was a fratricidal war. However, this war had attracted the warriors from all over the planet. The war of Kurukshetra. In fact, it is because of this war that this entire history is also called as Mahabharata. So in this war, he was shot at by his own grandnephew, his grandchild. With so many arrows that practically his body was riddled, and there wasn't even one finger space between the arrows that had passed through and through his body. And by the weight of those arrows, he fell down. However, his body did not touch the ground because the arrows are still sticking through his body. So he was actually lying down on a bed of arrows. By then, long before that, he was given the name Bhishma, because he was always so fixed in following the path of righteousness. And for that, he had taken a vow of lifetime celibacy, fixed in the path. So Bhishma was lying on the bed of arrows. So according to one literature, the Padma Purana, the Supreme Lord, came to Bhishma. He's addressed as Bhishma Dev. Basically, it means honorable Bhishma. The suffix Dev is added, honorable Bhishma. So Bhishma Dev. So Lord Krishna came to where he was lying down on the bed of arrows. And Bhishma Dev, he requested the Lord that, please, I want to have devotion to you. So the Lord said that, you please, this is the month of Kartik, so you follow this 5 days of Kartik. Now, the Padma Purana does not really state when. However, this is what we've heard, that there are some renditions that say that this happened during the war. And from the Padma Purana, it seems that it could also be prior to that. It is possible. So anyways, there are some holes in the story like that, some missing links. Anyways, he was asked to follow this vow of 5 days. So Panchaka means 5. And since he did this vow, it is called as Bhishma Panchaka, Vrata, the vow of 5 days. Before Bhishma did this vow, it was called as Vishnu Panchaka. So it had been there since a long time, as Vishnu Panchaka. Basically, according to this vow, you fast according to your ability. If you are able to fast by eating just once a day, you do that. Or if you are able to fast for 5 days at a stretch, you do that. Or if you're able to fast just on being on liquids, you could do that. Or just on being on fruits once a day, you could do that. Or twice a day, you could do that. But the idea is that these 5 days of the month of Kartik is the culmination of not just the month of Kartik, which is a very holy month. It is also the culmination of the Chaturmasya Vrata, which is the 4 months of holiness that is followed. So the culmination, it's like, when you finish off a project, you do it with a punch. So this is the punch. It is the last lap, the last lap, you put in all of your effort. Final lap. So these 5 days are the final lap. That is the context. And if one does do it, then by the mercy of Bhishma Dev, Lord Krishna has blessed everyone. Bhishma Dev wanted this blessing to be given to everyone. So Lord Krishna has offered this blessing to each one of us that if we do this 5 days of Vrata, then we would get devotional service into the Lord. So 5 days. It's a very good offer. Is that all right? So that is Bhishma Panchak Vrata. Thank you. You had a question? The last question. Yes.
Yeah. So this question was regarding about consciousness.
Yes.
Like music consciousness means that what you feel is right.
Consciousness technically means being aware. Aware. Intelligence is what helps you understand what is good for you, and what is good for you should also be good for the creation around you. So being conscious and using intelligence while being conscious, being aware of how to use your intelligence. Not how to use, or using your intelligence, being aware of what the situations are, is consciousness. So God consciousness is the situation where we see that how everything is facility offered to us, because the Supreme Lord is permeating each and every part of this creation. So we are able to see that and then make choices in life. So we'll stop here. It's time for darshan. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, and wish you all a very happy Kartik and wonderful prasadam at the end of the session. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yes, all the way, month. One, especially in the United States, we keep coming to we use many temples, many communities in the US. He's the vice president of ISKCON Chowati in India, Mumbai, and he also takes care of the